NATO plans to deploy forces at new bases in Eastern Europe for the first time in response to the crisis in Ukraine. The NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen says in the upcoming summit in Cardiff next week that the member states would overcome divisions and agree on a new deployment on Russia's borders. France, Italy, and Spain are against the deployments, while the Americans and the British are supportive of the plan. Rasmussen also outlined moves to boost Ukraine's security, modernize its armed forces, and help the country against what he called threats from Russia. The only NATO headquarters at Poland would likely be the hub for the new deployments. The move will certainly trigger a strong reaction from Moscow. The West and Russia have been at loggerheads over the crisis in Ukraine. Jeffrey Steinberg is a senior editor at the Executive Intelligence Review, and he joins us from Washington to tell us what he thinks about this. So, Jeffrey Steinberg, let's get this straight here. You have, after months, the presidents of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, and Russia's president shaking hands. I know not much has come out of that as of yet, but that's a positive gesture. And then you have the United States and the UK on one side pushing NATO, in a sense, to be deployed in on the border of the eastern Ukraine. And at the same time, you have France, Italy, and Spain who are against it. I don't quite understand how this could even happen, given the fact that there's divisions that are occurring here. I mean, who's pushing who here?
Well, look, I think you're absolutely right that Rasmussen's comments are, I think, a certain amount of bravado that they will be able to ram through not only a deployment, but an abrogating of the 1997 Budapest Treaty, in which NATO and Russia agreed that, in fact, there would not be forward basing of permanent forces into the Eastern European states that were formerly part of the Warsaw Pact. And I think that another critical country whose name you did not mention, but which will carry a great deal of weight in this decision making, is Germany. And I think Germany is very much aligned with France, Spain, Italy, and others in opposing this. You've had sanctions imposed by the European Union and by the United States against Russia. Those sanctions were heavily pushed through by Britain and the United States, but the net effect has been devastating economic consequences against Europe, particularly Greece, Italy, Poland, Germany, where the Mittelstand, which is the vital center of the German high-tech economy, does 30 to 50% of their business eastward, including a great deal in Russia. So I don't think that this is in any way a done deal. And I think the fact that Presidents Putin and Poroshenko met in Minsk yesterday and have perhaps begun the process of a de-escalation of that crisis suggests that President Obama, Rasmussen, Prime Minister David Cameron don't have this deal locked up. And so I think there's going to be a big fight next week at the NATO. And so it's not a certainty that this is going to happen. If it does happen, it's very dangerous. It puts that whole region on a slide towards confrontation. And I hate to think that on the 100th anniversary of the outbreak of World War I, that we may be looking at a third world war starting out in the European region.